Hello, everybody. My name is Grab Elwood. Welcome to Government Secrets. I was having StreamYard sometimes won't recognize this camera. Like, I think StreamYard is angry at Sony cameras, quite honestly, and doesn't respect them at all. At all. Yeah, I just took the last 3 days off. So we're back. We're going to bring Lee into the studio in just a second, everybody. Hit the like button, share this out on your social media. And we're going to do another Government Secrets. And so I know we've been doing them normally on Fridays, but that might change. There's just Lee and I trying to figure out schedule stuff. So it might be on a different day next week, but don't worry about it. We'll drop it every Monday the way it's supposed to be dropped. Don't have a wig out. Don't lose it. All right. Let's bring Lee Camp to the program, ladies and gentlemen. Good Lord, I need a haircut. I need a bad haircut, folks. Not a bad haircut. I need a haircut badly. I phrased that incorrectly. I need a really bad haircut. I need someone that doesn't know what they're doing to cut my hair. Is there anybody out there that has no experience that wants to cut my hair and wave sharp objects around my face? Let me know. Reach out. Lee.
Hey, you don't need a bad haircut. You've got a bad haircut. Graham, come on.
Now, who wants a taste?
I know you're blaming it on StreamYard, but your hair is still wet, so I'm convinced surfing is the culprit. I mean, we can see mollusks crawling out of your ears.
Yeah, I don't know what happened, man. StreamYard doesn't have it when I'm on my surfboard. It just doesn't start automatically. So it's like
the Ethernet cable that goes into my surfboard is not working properly.
It's like it doesn't. The Wi-Fi doesn't. I mean, I did everything I was supposed to do. I don't know what happened, man. Like StreamYard just, couldn't figure it out. Like I'm trying to reboot from my surfboard, and it's like
I can see you having like 4 coconuts tied together, and you're like, "This is supposed to be reliable Wi-Fi. I don't understand."
Yes, I have a 4 coconut broadband. It's it's very, very effective. Well, all right, buddy. You ready to jump into a Gov Seeks episode?
I am ready. I put on my special pantaloons and I am ready.
Government secret pantaloons. Ladies,
number whatever.
Number vague. It is a vague number, ladies and gentlemen. It's make your own number.
This might be number 10, which we should celebrate that.
It is number 10. I think it is number 10.
All right. Get out the streamers.
Yes. So give yourself a bad haircut. Put on some pantaloons. It's Government Secrets number 10.
And I think we have a good one to start off on, which is that basically Donald Trump announced that he is doing the opposite of everything we do on this show. He announced the 1776 Commission to alter American history and make sure people are getting the false patriotic version.
It's it's always like with him, it sort of shocks me, but then it doesn't. Like anytime there's can you believe what he did? It's kind of like, yeah, I guess so. He just wants to do whatever he wants to do.
Yeah, apparently he actually mentioned Howard Zinn's People's History of the United States as exactly what's wrong with America.
The truth.
The truth, the reality. If you're learning reality, then you have a serious problem. It's mental defect of some form. To quote from this article, the 1776 Commission is a patriotic education commission proposed by Trump. While speaking in the National Archives, Trump made the announcement of proposing the new commission and said, quote, "I will soon sign an executive order establishing a national commission to promote patriotic education. It will encourage our educators to teach our children about the miracle of American history and make plans to honor the 250th anniversary of our founding."
That's the kind of thing, if you heard that the North Korean or Chinese government did it, you go, yep, that's what they do. They just rewrite the history books. That's what crazy authoritarian governments do. But his followers go, yeah, it's time for the real truth that doesn't have truth in it. Like,
well, yeah, this is a direct response. And actually, he says as much. This is a direct response to the fact that America is now going through the kind of writhing and like, feverish response to acknowledging our actual history, to actually coming face to face and discussing systemic racism and slavery and just like the white supremacy of our policing system and what our founding fathers were involved in, which does not like delegitimize everything they did, but we need to talk about the reality of their history and the fact that many of them had slaves and many of them raped their slaves and those kind of things. And this is a direct response, basically saying, I'm signing something that says schools have to teach the false version.
It really is like older white people, not all, but there's a section of older white people that just don't want to hear it, no matter what it is. And it's not necessarily just, oh, the Trumpers are crazy. I mean, it's like, I don't know what happens to the brain or what. I just remember like my grandmother, Irish, didn't want to hear anything about the Catholic Church. You just couldn't say anything bad about it. And I was like, but grandma, I remember like I was a kid in the 80s and like they kept finding these priests, was starting to come forward again, in Chicago and the Archdiocese of Chicago. I was like, they caught this priest and that priest. Nope. That guy's just bad, or that kid was wrong, or she just didn't, there's just this like, nope. And I think that's America's problem because we've been fed so much. We're so great. We're so awesome. And everything we've done was amazing that it would be like if you found out some relative of yours that you really loved and revered was like a serial killer or a pedophile or something. And there'd be a part of you that would just go, nope. Too difficult. No, they didn't. Nope. But it's
it's
they have a necklace of ears. Like they've been eating. We all travel and buy stuff. It's okay.
Like I've got the guy's head right here that they severed. No, I can't see that. What do you? I don't see.
He buried it under your bed with a note saying, "I killed this guy." It's a Halloween prank. Nope, don't want to hear it. It's just so.
I think we're gonna change the national anthem to. And I think that's the next step.
And I know you are, but what am I? Like, just.
But what's so hilarious about this is the history that we're already getting that like I got in school, but even now that I've been out of high school for 20 some odd years, kids are still getting a kind of more mildly whitewashed version of American history. Like there's discussion of slavery and stuff like that. So that's changed, but there's still a relatively whitewashed version of American history. They may talk a little bit about how Columbus behaved, but they still speak of him as if he should be someone that's discussed when in fact, he was discovering a place where everyone lived. So it's like, he should only be discussed really as a genocidal maniac. There's not there's not a reason he should be discussed as like a explorer. But so Trump is doing this despite the fact that there actually has not been enough pushback against this kind of false history that we're told.
Yeah. And I think it's crazy because I mean, if you think about again, the Columbus is such, and I get the tearing down Columbus statues just flipped out that older people just couldn't take it because he wasn't perfect, but like we still celebrate Thanksgiving. I mean, like,
could you imagine if it's like while the guy was in the middle of this, he's like raping someone, he's cutting someone else's nose off, he's collecting gold from someone else, and he's in the middle of it, and they're like, well, he's not perfect, but Chris, come over here and talk to. I know Chris is not perfect, but come here.
Look, I just want you to meet him. He's an okay guy.
He's all right guy.
Look, Pol Pot and the Khmer Rouge. Like they did a little weird stuff in the countryside, but but they weren't like awful. You know what I mean? Like
it's all relative. It's it's cultural relativism. Like back then, that was cool. So
Yeah, yeah, you know what I mean? Hey, I mean, Hitler got Germany out of the Depression. So I mean, everyone has like a plus and a minus, you know what I mean? So this is like,
I'd be all for rewriting American history if I mean, if we're gonna because if Trump's basically signing something saying fucking rewrite American history, I say have fun with it. Like Columbus rode here on a pterodactyl, like that kind of shit. I'd be all in for. If we're gonna rewrite it, let's swing for the fences, right?
well, let's go on some sort of LSD infused psychedelic, like Yellow Submarine style. Just picture yourself on a boat on a river.
Yeah. Abraham Lincoln was actually 2 feet tall, but his hat was 6 feet. Like that, just awesome shit.
His beard was made of unicorn tears or whatever. Just everything, give it mystical. Thomas Jefferson was a shapeshifter that was able to time travel through his own voice or whatever. Like, let's give them all. I'm up for all of it.
But it is true. People don't even want to face even a discussion about a lot of these things. I was just forwarded through my family, like my aunt or something forwarded an email from someone trying to get UVA alum to start with withholding their donations or withdrawing their donations to university. And the reason is because, and I went there, by the way, the reason is because there's a girl who lives on the lawn, which the lawn is kind of the old traditional. It was designed by Jefferson. It's like if you see a famous photo of UVA, it's that little area. And I live there, and weirdly, she's in my room, so that's kind of strange. But she has put, and I don't know her race or anything. I just know it's a woman. But she has put a large sign outside her door, which this is a heavily trafficked area of UVA, that says something like, I'm paraphrasing, but something like "fuck UVA" for genocide, KKK cops, slavery, anti black and brown students. And it's just painted on her door in big letters, and people are flipping the fuck out because all these nice little white people that are not used to confronting these issues have to confront them. And this guy apparently drove there, I assume from Richmond, Virginia. So we're talking a 2-hour drive hour drive or whatever. He said he drove there specifically to scratch off the words "fuck UVA" because he is opposed to offensive language. And I guarantee you it doesn't really come down to offensive language, because if that sign said "fuck Duke, their basketball team is a bunch of pussies," then he would not be driving an hour to go scratch that off the door. So the real reason that this is upsetting these middle-class white people is that they have to confront the fucking racist history of Jefferson, but of all these things. And it's front and center. It's pushing in on their little nice worlds. And it's like, look, this girl, MLK said the riot is the voice of the unheard. This girl didn't create a riot. She didn't bomb anything. She didn't stab anyone. She put up a sign on her door, and it has infuriated people.
Anything that challenges, like if you've always believed in something, I think the human brain does this, and especially like the American brain, which is particularly stupid. But the like, something you've always believed in, something you've always liked or enjoyed, whatever, and you're confronted with contradictory information that tells you, actually, this was not true. This was a lie. There's some people, and I think this is true in America because we're such an individual, I can figure this out. I'm me. So then if you're bringing up information that says this thing that I like or believe in or have always enjoyed is actually rooted in racism and genocide and awfulness or whatever, then I'm going to take it personally. So that guy drove 2 hours because he thought that UVA, that's my school. I'm going to take this personally rather than use, critical thinking and deductive reasoning or whatever to go, wow, maybe UVA was built on some awful stuff. We should think about it. And you're right. It's all these middle-class white people. That's why the older, like, Black Lives Matter thing is so confronting. Well, all lives matter. No, they're not. Black Lives Matter is not saying their lives are more important than yours.
Right.
They're saying they just want to not be shot in the back. And
a great comedian, Ted Alexandro, a friend of mine, he had a joke about how, like, when they're like Black Lives Matter, and people are like all lives matter. That's like if there was like people living with AIDS, get to like a group of people that are like, we have AIDS and we're trying to deal with it, and someone walks in and is like, I have cancer. It's like, oh, okay, but we're doing art. This is important to us. Right. You don't need to come yell your thing.
Yeah, someone's eulogizing their child, like my child died in a car accident, and someone runs by and goes, well, my kid was hit by a car, like, okay, that's
my kid confuses B's and C's when he's reading. All right, well, yeah, but this kid's person, they're
really brutal, and this person is in pain, so maybe you could just not make it all about you. Like, we're a nation of just ridiculous narcissists, and it is so prevalent in middle-class America. But the older white people who've had these lifetimes of privilege and grew up with if you work hard enough, you'll succeed, which was true within that framework, was set up for them to succeed. Middle-class white people could do that, and so they
go ahead.
handle any of this. They can't this is too, like, that means the American dream is bullshit. That means everything is a lie. And rather than go, America is a lie, they just can't confront that. And it's a hard thing to confront. It's really like saying your parents and your grandparents.
Right. Because you're right. Because it was true for them, for a lot of them, right. Generally speaking, white people through the, 40s, 50s, 60s could work hard and succeed and take care of a family and have a house and a car on one job.
Yeah.
And it was really a kind of wonderful, idyllic time for America for those people, because it was largely based on the fact that we were a kind of slightly younger capitalist society with a massive amount of resources in terms of industrialization. So it was a prime time where we could exploit all our resources, achieve great wealth, and that wealth was given to white people. And so, yeah, for a certain group, it was true. Now it is no longer true. And talk about government secrets. That's one of the biggest ones nowadays. You work hard, you'll achieve great things, and your life will be a cinch.
Well, yeah, it's true too, because also many that they're all in their, many of them, these older, they're in their retirement years, so they're living off of these nice pensions from these jobs and this old model of employees working hard and getting good pensions and having a wonderful retirement. So like they were told, work hard, get a good job, you'll succeed, get a nice pension, buy a house, it'll increase in value. And so the ones that haven't been screwed over by this economy or this toxic capitalism, maybe the ones that didn't lose their homes 10 years ago, who are like living in retirement, and they're like, I did it. I won. I did this. I did everything you told me to do, and it paid off, and I won. And stop telling me I'm wrong. Stop telling me this isn't fair. I don't care. I got this. I don't care. And there's that attitude. There's this like, and
the reason my kid is 30 years old and living in the basement is because of immigrants.
Yeah, immigrants, or they're lazy or whatever. And it's like, I always ask them, what did you pay for college? Your parents paid for college? And they say, yeah, I paid for my own college. Okay, well, how much was it a year? What was it? It was $1,000 a year. Okay, right. So you could,
or they're like, I didn't go to college and I was an engineer at a car plant. It's like, you didn't go to college and you were an engineer at a car plant. Like,
I started at $25 an hour, and then I moved up to manager, and I was making $60 an hour and union benefits, and all, like they also don't understand like the golden years of America. Supposedly in the 40s and 50s and 60s, we had post World War II America. We had the highest number of union membership. Yep. We had the highest number of banking regulation and the highest tax code. We had the highest tax rate, and that's what was paying for all of this stuff. And now they're like, socialism. Like they just,
you seen that chart with it was like income versus union membership, and they just go exact opposites.
Yeah, and now they're just and they're also this very materialistic, as we are, and most Americans were raised to be so materialistic. They have this my home and my car and my stuff, And then they see the news reports of the rioting and they're like, they're coming for my stuff. And they just like, I mean, I had this argument with an older, like someone in their 60s would consider themselves pretty liberal after the rioting and the looting happened in Santa Monica where we both lived. They were like, we had this huge fight because they were like quoting Dr. Martin Luther King. And they're like, I don't know what these Black Lives, what are they kneeling for? And I'm like, what are they kneeling for? What are you talking about? She's like, they shouldn't riot here. They should sit down and talk. I was like, what? Like,
yeah, they've been talking for 400 years. It's not gotten a lot.
Nothing's happened, and they keep getting killed, and they keep getting less money, and keep getting all this stuff. And they were like, so if these rioters came to your house, would you just let them take it? And I'd go, yeah, I would. I wouldn't fight them. I wouldn't get a gun. I'd say, hey, if there was, I'd get, hey guys, you want some food?
But that even getting you off on that track is it's a fake argument. It's a way to sideline the actual discussion. If someone comes into your house and says, I'm stealing your stuff, then that sucks. But that is an anomaly. That is not what most of what's going on in these streets. I mean, yes, there are always people that will take advantage of riots or large protests as a chance to cause some havoc or a chance to steal something or whatever. But that is not the point of this thing, and that is not what most, we're talking 99.9% of protesters are doing. So, if someone were to walk in and be like, I get all your stuff, then that person's an asshole. But
I get all your stuff. Yeah, exactly. Like, especially the like you talked about MLK, the rioting and looting is the voice of the oppressed or whatever. And so if that environment, people just like, we're fucking sick of this, we're burning it down, and they came to where I lived, I would, I have a Black Lives Matter sign on outside my window. I would be like, do you guys want some food and water? Because I saw there was a in downtown Santa Monica when it all went off, there was a Thai restaurant that had Black Lives Matter, George Floyd or something to that effect, and nobody touched it. And the surf shop right next to it didn't have that, and they smashed it up. And not that surf shop deserved it.
These are blunt instruments. These are furious people after watching videos of, let's say a black man being executed by a white cop. So this is a very blunt instrument, protest and large scale, angry, furious taking to the streets.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the point you get pushed to when nothing else has worked and when your government is completely unaccountable. So yes, they're going to break the window of the surf shop and not break the window of the one that has the sign that says, George Floyd was murdered. But that's not like a stipulation of the people trying to put these together or anything. Like, listen, folks, if you see a surf shop without the sign,
I can't hear you.
Testing. And I don't think.
Cannot hear Lee. Boy.
I haven't changed anything.
Nothing from Lee. Wow.
Testing.
Still nothing. Here, I'm gonna Lee. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna remove you, and then let's have you come back in. Well, Lee Camp got government secret. He got a big government secret. So you hear both of us. Weird. I stopped hearing him. You hear both of us. Wow. You can hear Lee, but you don't. All right. Interesting. All right. Let's bring Lee back.
Hello.
Oh, I can hear you. I don't know what happened. It was weird. And everyone in the chat.
Yeah, because I didn't touch anything. So.
Yeah. The NSA.
I'm not using my external mic. Does it sound all right?
Yeah, it sounds good.
Okay.
So you were saying?
No, I was saying it was a blunt. It's a blunt instrument. People furious in the streets. You know, but it's not. It's not. There is no leadership of Black Lives Matter. But the people who are more outspoken at Black Lives Matter are not like, here's the deal, folks. If a surf shop doesn't have the George Floyd sign, you bust that window up. Like, this is not. You know.
Right, and the other thing too is that was I can hear myself coming through your speakers.
Oh, all right. Well, I can go get earbuds.
Okay. Well, while Lee's doing that, ladies and gentlemen, we will take this break to talk about government secrets that is available on Libsyn, on iTunes, on SoundCloud, I believe, all the other platforms. And if you please give it a positive review on iTunes, download it, share it, go to government secrets. The more downloads and 5-star reviews and positive comments we get on iTunes, the better. There, Lee's back.
Hey.
Yeah, no, that's an excellent point. When
I mean, on the list of things that could go wrong with our podcast, at least, you know, like no one's caught fire. Like this is relatively okay.
There's been no meteors. I mean, as long as we don't have meteors or fire, I'm okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the thing too. And this is like some of the arguments I've had. I got into 3 arguments. One with a guy like came to blows in the street.
Really? How do you find these arguments?
Well, that one I went back out on the streets and I had my phone with me and I saw a news crew reporting, and I've been watching the news all day, watching how they were reporting the looting very specifically. They kept showing the same footage over and over of like a half a dozen Black people running out of a shoe store. They kept showing that footage over and over and over again. It's very specific, right?
We haven't found any other examples of this, but we'll show this.
Just this one over and over and over. They kept running it on a loop. Yeah. And every time they would talk about it, they would talk about the looting, but they wouldn't talk about police brutality. And they would talk about the looting like it was the worst thing that ever happened. It's like, no, the loot is unfortunate.
They got 4 pairs of shoes, man.
Like, oh no, someone who was poor got some shoes that from a store that has insurance. Like, I mean, and I was like, I'm not happy that my city was like on fire. But the way the phrase, the conversation was like, it's unfortunate about the looting and the businesses. And I'm not happy a small business lost its money, but what happened to George Floyd is worse. What happened to Jacob Blake is worse. What happened to Breonna Taylor is 1,000 times worse. That should make you outraged. And the media wasn't talking about that. So I was on the street and I just had my phone out and I was just like talking and I was like, hey, everybody, there's the store. And if you look over here, there's a news crew and they're not, all they do is talk about the looting like it's the worst thing. And I said, I'm not happy this happened. This breaks my heart. And I don't want to see this kind of stuff. And I'm sorry, I'm a small business owner, but they're not talking about the bigger issues. And this guy heard me, this older dude, Irish guy, literally Irish accent. And he like got in my face. And he's like, you think this is a good, and like, he thought I was like saying, yay, the looting's great. I was like, I'm not happy with that. This is awful. But he was just so nuts.
Did you try this? Try saying, you're a fucking immigrant, aren't you?
Yeah, I should have said that. Get out of our country, immigrant.
Get out of the country.
I was like, you're Irish. Like if this was Belfast and that was the Queen's, the British government's, what are you talking about? Like the Irish weren't allowed in movie theaters in England and shit. What are you talking about? Like he kept getting in my face and it was crazy. And then there was another person that was my friend. We had an argument and she just was like, yeah, all crazy. And I was like, I'm not happy this happened, but I understand.
Right. Well, people don't want to see any nuance is another thing. They want either you support looting or you are fine with endless white supremacy policing and execution of Black people. Like those are the only 2 sides. And it's like, no, you can not love looting and also support Black Lives Matter, support people standing up, support a significant change to our policing system.
Yeah. And when she said to me, I don't even know what they're protesting, I was like, what?
Yeah, you do.
What's the demands? I go, where have you been? Like, stop shooting us, cut the police budget in half, actually prosecute these cops. Don't just give them paid leave and then the city uses taxpayer money to pay out a civil defense claim. Like
Yeah, you know how many cops have been successfully convicted of murder over the past 15 years out of whatever 15,000 killings?
No, how many?
Three.
Three out of 15,000. That's
Yeah.
fair. Yeah, I don't know whether protesting. I can't figure it out. I can't put my finger on it. So yeah, anyway, that group just doesn't want to wake up to it. And then it's such a threat to them, and all they care about is stuff. They've been told that guard our stuff. And that's an American thing of like, lock it up, protect it, you know. And I remember I think it was Bowling for Columbine when Michael Moore did that documentary, and he went to Canada, and Canadians just like, yeah, I leave my door open. They're like, what about stealing stuff? They're like, well,
Well, I mean, yeah, here's the thing. It's not like Canadians it's not like they want their stuff stolen, but stealing stuff is already a crime. So if stuff gets stolen, often the people will get caught. If they don't get caught, then you lost a couple of things. Like, unless you have every dollar of your life in a gold bars sitting in the middle of your living room, and you're literally going to be homeless the following day because this person stole everything and walked away with your house as well on the flatbed truck, you're gonna get through it. I know it sucks, but I mean, that's the thing is Canadians probably would say that they think someone who steals should have a punishment, should have something done
right.
in the court system to them. But it's an American thing to be like, that motherfucker should be executed, or he should spend 20 years in prison because he got my stereo.
Yeah.
It's a stereo, really? 20 years? Yeah, you think?
Well, and I've heard people I got a gun who tries to steal anything. So you're going to kill somebody over a stereo. You're going to kill somebody over a $200 watch. You're willing to take another human life because they tried to steal from you. Okay.
Well, that's something I'm trying to, a point I keep trying to push in several episodes and stuff is when people call the cops, it's like, you should know that you're inviting the possibility of death into the situation.
Yeah.
Just know that. And it could be yours because there's countless instances where cops show up and shoot the person that called them. So you have to I'm not saying never call the cops, but you have to know you're inviting that possibility into this situation. So if you hear loud music next door, just know that you call the cops, someone might die.
Yep.
And is that worth turning down the music?
Yeah, I know. It's just go knock on your neighbor's door and try to be cool. And if they're like, fuck you, okay, then go wear earplugs or something.
Yeah. And it's that you have an asshole next door neighbor, but getting someone killed is not generally the answer.
Yeah. I mean, it's just madness. All right. You want to go to another?
Yeah, let's do it, man.
So this is, I came across this one, and government secrets segment number 2.
I was gonna say you're fired if you didn't, because I thought you were gonna skip that part, and I was like, this shit's over.
No, we can't. We spend so much money on these sound effects that we really have to use them. So, in just a cursory search of, I'm gonna share the screen on this one. This is in just a cursory search of the CIA and astral projection, there is some freedom of information of how the CIA did a strategy for the evaluation of paranormal phenomenon.
A strategy for evaluation.
They created this was released in 1998. And
that was a peak year for paranormal activity.
Yeah, it's weird. It coincided with the Monica Lewinsky stuff. I don't know. I don't know what it had to do with. Maybe it had to do with that. Maybe it was a ghost that repealed Glass-Steagall rather than Bill Clinton.
It could have been. It could have been a fucking 3-horned, Martian type being.
Three-horned Martian. So this is from June of 1998. There seems to be a small but constant momentum within the agency. This is your tax dollars at work for the CIA for investigation of paranormal phenomena, including such things as ESP, astral projection, and radionautics, which I don't even know what that last one is. It sounds like something that Radio Shack might have, or like get the new astral projection radionautic 2000. I don't know what it means. Since this momentum appears to have been continuous in the past, it seems reasonable to assume that it will continue in the future. Since claims of paranormal phenomena immediately generate opposing camps of believers and non-believers, any instigation of research into these areas immediately engenders debates, meetings, discussions, and memoranda, which they must be like, sweet, more spending money on bullshit, like just memorandas and this group and that group. Oh, I can't wait. For this reason, this paper is presented to propose some guidelines for a strategy to allow for the appraisal of the appropriate. I love government corporate speak. Guidelines for the strategy to allow for the appraisal of the appropriateness of resource dedication, that's money, to whatever paranormal phenomena may be proposed in the future. One of the driving forces for any proposed program in paranormal phenomena is always the carrot held out by proponents that the possession of such powers would have great utility in the intelligence community. Wasn't this an Indiana Jones plot? Like,
yeah, but it was the worst one. That was the worst one. So, yeah.
So the CIA is using our tax dollars to potentially, because if we can crack this ESP thing, we can control people's brains.
This was also the plot of, I think, one of the Stranger Things seasons. But
yes,
they weren't they working on this for years? Like, weren't there in the 70s and stuff? Weren't they trying to, like, what's the movie called, Men Who Kill Goats or whatever? Like, where they try and kill goats with their mind and shit like that.
Yeah, they've been trying to do this for forever. And seeing, like we talked about in the last segment, like the 1776 brigade or whatever that Trump created, and the people that don't want to listen to the truth on either side. The Trumpers that think he never lies, and the vote any blue will do people that, like, I'm with her, I'm a big feminist, that's why I support Hillary Clinton, which is like, oh, that's like a foodie really being in favor of Jeffrey Dahmer. So, like, the fact that these are people, we've talked about this both on the show and just personally, of it seems like there's groups of people that seem crazy, and I'm like, is it the opioid epidemic? I'm being serious here. Is that making people just acting like crazy addicts? Because active addicts are nuts, right? And they'll say one thing, they'll gaslight you. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear any of that. Is the contaminated water that's not just in Flint, that's in 1,000 cities, controlling, making people like not capable of critical thinking, because we have lost critical thinking in this country, right?
Yeah, I'd love to blame it on the water, but I think it's just
Or did the CIA crack the code on ESP or whatever, and they made everybody's brain nuts?
Yeah, they just found a way to dull everything. They were like, what do we do with it? We can actually influence other people's brains. Should we make everyone brilliant? We can, could travel to another dimension, and we'll just everything would be incredible. We'll all be so smart. No, let's just make everybody really into Slurpees. It's just
Slurpees and guns, and
yeah,
and partisan politics. Let's make them really into that. Let's get them to just pick a side, red or blue, and that's the one.
I mean, here's the thing. I would rather CIA spend a lot more of their time focused on ESP, so that they're spending less time like killing people. So whatever time they spend on like idiot shit, just I hope that's good. That's good.
You guys should you guys should divert some of that money, staging coups and with democratically elected leaders, and more money to see if people can make soup think. You know what I'm saying? Like, you guys should. Have you ever talked about making dogs talk and sing? Like, put some money in that. Like, I see your point. I think you have good reasoning, Lee. Because the evil shit they do is scary, and this is a little like, rather than doing the Finders cult, which is horrific. and getting people like, well, you're going to get mad if I mention the name, but getting Epstein on your payroll
I don't get mad. I've accepted your obsession, and
I can
plus
tell.
I think we went a whole episode without mentioning him. So
we did. I was very good for the whole episode. I took special pills so I wouldn't mention him because I can tie anything back to that guy. Hey, weird. You notice how shoelaces aren't always? Yep, that's what Epstein did. Through St. Croix. Oh wow, Graham.
It all comes back to Epstein every time.
But I want to read this. If we assume that such powers are indeed real and can be harnessed for use by the agency, clearly there can be no argument with purported utility. Therefore, debate on such an issue is inappropriate. So they don't even want to debate it. The true focus for the debate should be on the validity of claims made by proponents of the paranormal phenomena. Another item.
And here's the thing: is like if they were to actually discover something that were useful, because I'll suspend enough disbelief to think that that's something we could discover something that you could. We understand quantum entanglement, where quantum particles are connected thousands of miles apart, and despite the fact that we don't know what connects them, they are somehow communicating instantaneously with each other. You change the spin of one and the spin of the other changes. So it means there could be something that connects, let's say, two people or a person with thoughts of the dead or something that we don't understand. So I'll suspend disbelief with that. But if they were to discover something, it's like, wouldn't the right thing for humanity be like, hey, here's what we found, everybody. Let's discuss how to use it to make for a better world. But something tells me that's not where they'd go.
Well, I don't know. How come? Why is your think the CIA would do something badly? We've in these 9 previous episodes, have we ever mentioned how they've done something awful on this show?
I always wait. Is the CIA not the same as Chia? Because I always thought we were talking about Chia this whole time, and I was like, they make those awesome pets. I
put it on my cereal.
Yeah, it's it's the alfalfa sprouts, right? Those guys are great. Those guys are great.
I put CIA seeds on my cereal. They're fantastic. But yeah, well, no, I this is an interesting discussion because I believe there has to be some type of where our brains are capable of some type of psychic ability, and like you say, and not in a. This is where the new age people are. It's always like, oh, it is the messenger. It is the messenger. Because sometimes they'll just be like, well, you're guided by your rainbow chakra through unicorn forests. And that's no, well, I think it's more science-based, like you say, because you have the energy, we're all energy. Every living thing is energy. And we could, because I've had some experiences where I'm like, I saw something happen, or I saw it in a dream, or connected with somebody differently than I did other way. Like I've predicted some things in I'm not like I have psychic abilities. I'm not that, but I believe that there's an ability. I believe there's a higher energy level that we could tap into in some way that we could learn this. But of course,
I know that every week I go like this and I try and send you the message that it's time to start the show, and it's never worked. It's never done much.
It doesn't work when I'm surfing. I keep telling you, the waves block it. Like when they're.
Hold on. You didn't have your crystal helmet on?
No. It gets something when you surf. My crystal helmet.
Jesus.
I know. But I do have their latest download. So yeah, like you say, of course the CIA is going to use this for some awful shit. They could use this to be like, if there was like noble intention to research this, and they're like, oh, we're going to see if we can find a higher level of consciousness or communication that could maybe, if we could communicate on a higher level, maybe we wouldn't have disagreements. We wouldn't have war. Wouldn't be a need for crime. No, not the CIA. We're going to find out a way to tap into somebody's brain, and then they can use it to scramble the other person's brain, and then we can steal their oil or whatever their crazy nonsense is. Yeah. So that's my.
Yeah, good one. So I have some breaking news. that I realize many people will listen to this on Monday, so it will not be breaking to them. So, but for the live streamers, breaking news: Ruth Bader Ginsburg has died. So
Really?
shit is gonna get real.
Oh my God.
This is going to obviously result in Trump saying we have to pass a new Supreme Court justice. It's going to be Ted Cruz or the Dark Sith Lord or some shit. And he's going to say we have to do it right now.
Yeah, this feels, I'm not going to get too conspiratorial here, but I'll just say that it's unfortunate she's passed away.
I wouldn't. Here's the thing, Graham. If you were to get conspiratorial, I would have to point out that she wasn't exactly a spring chicken.
No, I know. She's in her 80s, I believe. So of course, anybody, we all could get it. We all could die at any moment, especially when you're in your 80s. You're on the clock's ticking. So, but you've talked about it on your show. I've talked about it on my show. We've talked about it on this show. Whatever happens in November, people don't understand. It doesn't matter. It's going to be nuts no matter what. And I don't think there's going to be a decision made. It's going to be like the year 2000 where they're just like, it's up in the air. And this just adds fuel to the chaos fire that will be the election. I mean,
yeah.
It's because now whoever wins is the other side is going to claim, nope, you cheated. And now
you'll recall that who was it, Scalia, that died before Obama left, and it was months. They stopped him from picking a replacement for months. So the precedent is there for stopping someone for months. But
yeah, it is really. And they're gonna fight and delay this, and it's gonna get involved. It's the election now. It's gonna be like, and again, Democrats, this is what you get for snubbing Bernie and putting Joe Biden in there. This is what you get, and the vote any blue will do people are gonna use this as you got to vote for Biden.
Yeah.
Any of us that are like, I don't want to vote for Biden, they're gonna say you have to now because of her. Because of this vacant seat. This is like, if I were to want to concoct a civil war in America,
this would be how you do it.
It'd be one of my chess moves, to just be quite honest with you, is like, I would take the George Floyd protests, which were all different ethnicities, all different walks of life, coming together saying this ain't right. I would turn that into a race war.
Right.
And then to distract people from the fact that they're actually in class warfare, thanks to decades of toxic capitalism and the $4.25 trillion that was given to Wall Street in the CARES Act and all those things. I would distract people from that. And then this is another great tactic, just a hung election. It's what it's going to be. It's not going to be decided for months. It's not. And this just fuels that.
Well, the only way it's decided quickly is if it is some sort of landslide. But
right,
I think that would be pretty tough, considering our fucking sham of an election system. And actually, one of the things I was going to talk about, I don't know if now's a good time, was I was going to go through kind of how ridiculous our computer voting system is. I wasn't going to go through everything that's wrong with our elections because that would take weeks. But I was gonna talk about and maybe it does fit now because it's like one of the reasons they can even claim that because Trump if Trump loses he'll claim that it was false or whatever, and
sure.
And one of the reasons that our system is set up for that kind of claim is because we're the only country in the world that uses, I think, close to 100% either computer voting or a computer counting of the ballots. And, these computers are almost never, like, there's no real accountability to the people. There are some audits, and some states specifically have like, oh, we have the audit of the machines a week after the election, and you can come and you can see how they're working. But the thing is, they do everything they can to make sure you are not able to actually see the audit of the machines. Most of them do. And we saw this again and again. We saw it in California. We saw it in New York. They would have the audit that's supposedly open to the public, and they would keep any public observers as far back as possible. And you know, in Chicago, people testified to the fact that they saw people erasing the numbers that the machine was saying because they weren't adding up, because these computer machines are a fucking fraud. I mean, in various ways. And this doesn't mean that like one party or one, you know, like the Clinton machine owns the voting machines. It means that in different areas, there can be different things. There can be different scams going on. There's different, in some areas, Republicans absolutely are in charge of these things. And, you know, some people have found the code to certain types of machines and found that in the code, there is fractional voting. Like a vote does not count as a 1 or a 0. A vote will count as like 1.0. And they're like, why the fuck does a fractional vote even exist? Because you could put a program in there that says every Bernie vote counts for 0.9 and every Hillary counts for 1.1. And that adds up quickly. So, you know, that's yet another incredible problem with this voting system. And it's why we have one of the least legitimate voting systems in the electoral systems in the world.
Well, clearly you hate America. So let's no, it's just preposterous. Our election system is preposterous. And that's why I like watching people on the left lose their shit over Russia for the last 4 years, when they should just be looking at our own corruption, which is 1,000 times worse than Russia's $4,700 in Google ads showing a Hillary dildo or whatever the hell they showed. Like we've both talked about this on our respective shows of the electronic voting was proven back in 2006 to be hackable. Like every year at the Hackfest or whatever, some kid hacks the thing in 9 minutes. And it's like,
oh yeah, that was incredible. But all of these, a key point, which is what you're kind of making, all of these hacks, incredibly quick, easy hacks, have been done in person, connected to the machine, like either plugging in a USB. There's certain kind of cards you can get that'll plug into the card reader. Not once have they said, oh, look how easy it is to hack over the internet. So these are not the great other. These are not scary, scary Russia or China. These are in-person hacks.
In-person hacks. And that's the other thing. They act like, oh, how could we ever do online? Like, what are you talking about? We file our taxes online. All this encrypted, secure data. Banks,
blockchain, right? Blockchain voting.
Yeah. And blockchain voting. Exactly. We use the blockchain. I stream my show on Rockfin, which is a blockchain crypto platform. Like cryptocurrency is it's why can't we do that? Why can't we figure that out? Oh, because then it would give everybody access and your vote would actually count rather than this flim flam like Chicago dead people voting thing that we have in this country. It's just preposterous. And both parties cheat equally. Like this notion that one party cheats more than the other. It's like, well, no, the Republicans have their specific kind of cheating. They typically like to gerrymander neighborhoods of color so that they get screwed. And then the Democrats, they love suppressing progressives. So anytime, you know, people
and a lot of the gerrymandering, the Democrats will sign off on or vote for, because the Republicans will gerrymander it so that those Democrats are safe in their districts. So then you have, let's say, 3 Democrats and 15 Republicans, and they all sign off on this gerrymandering shit because the 3 Democrats are like, good for me.
Yep. I'll just always win because I know I rope off this blue district. I know that it only comes down to the primary, and this is by design. So 22% typically to 25% show up and vote in primaries. So that's why they go, whoever gets the Democrat, whoever wins in the primary gets the vote, because then if you're a very blue state or blue district, then what the Republicans will just throw up a paper tiger against you in the general. Same thing in a red district. If you win the Democrats will just throw up a nobody. So that's why, like California, well, it's not a perfect system. It's in one sense better, you know, has a open primaries. It does a top 2 thing. And back in 2018, it allowed, and this is just one little example, Kenneth Mejia, a Green, to make it to the general, and a Green ran against a Democrat. And it was like, wow, this is how it could be. And it's another thing. We need blockchain voting. We need what's that other thing I'm blanking on? I'm just blanking on it. It's like,
is it where they paint your finger when you vote?
Yeah, finger paint voting. Ranked choice. That's the name I'm thinking
Ranked
of.
choice.
On ranked choice. Yeah. But yeah, and they act like this is impossible, and they could do it. I mean, if everything was so hackable on the internet, banks would not be doing trillions of dollars of online transactions every day. And like,
yeah, exactly. But the banks want every person to count, meaning they want to count everyone's money. So therefore, they're fine with that. But voting, they want to make as difficult as possible. So they want you to have to show up to a place on a work day when most average people are at work.
right.
That's they want to keep it that way.
And keep it a 12-hour window, where like other Western countries will have like 2-3 day. It'll be like all weekend, like several days of in-person voting. Like if you're so concerned about mail-in ballots and all that, great. Then make it make Tuesday election day a national holiday. It's shut down like the 4th of July. Everything's shut down. Have polling places on every block, and get everybody, that's your civic duty, to come out and vote. You know, like, or vote.
And in Australia, they fine people for not voting.
Yes, it's compulsory.
I don't think it's that much. I think it's like $75 or something, but that's enough to get like whatever it is, 80-90% to vote.
Yeah, you don't want to pay $75? Then just vote for somebody. Get out there and vote for somebody. And then, you know, we voter shame the 100 million people that don't vote, and yet don't want to do compulsory elections, don't want to do any of these things to incentivize people to come vote. It's insane. So the Ruth Bader Ginsburg, oh man, it's
I know it's just gonna be fucking, the level of garbage is just gonna be amped up by 10 right now.
It's gonna be insane. Leading up to this election is just gonna get worse every day. Oh, that's brutal. That's brutal.
why there's early voting already happening now in some states, and I'm like, yeah, just fucking go put your vote in, so you don't have to think about it anymore. Like,
I always vote by
get
mail.
it over with. And by the way, you and I are trashing our voting system, which is a fucking dumpster fire. However, I have said and continue to say all the time, I'm not saying don't vote. I'm actually saying you have to vote in such numbers that you defeat what they're trying to rig. So, and on a lot of down ballot things, on things that are more local, you can have a massive impact with just a few people. So, yeah, I actually think voting is very important, but it doesn't mean it's not a garbage heap.
No, both things can exist. It's a completely corrupt system, but it is, if we were to overwhelm them, there's nothing they could do about it. And again, the down ballot stuff, they can't rig every single little thing. And there's some ballot measure on your city ballot or your county or your state ballot that literally will be decided by a couple hundred votes. And so that's the kind of thing where if you can, that's why I always vote. And I signed up for vote by mail years ago just because I was always traveling and I never knew if I would be there on election day or whatever. And you can, in California, you can fill out if I am there on election day, I fill out my vote by mail thing. And then I walk into the polling place. You can walk right to the front of the line, and I give it to the person.
Take a dump right there.
And I just go, yeah, who let the dogs out? Weird song. And then I watch them put it in the box. I always watch them, and I'm like, okay, thank you. And then they give me that sticker. So, all right, buddy. I think that's probably our episode, right? We had 3 solid GovSeek segs.
I think that's it, man. Hang in there as the chaos rains down.
Ooh, stay safe, folks. Hunker down, because it's going to be. I was saying this during the protests in late May and June. I'm like, these are bad, but I go, these are going to be a Disney parade compared to what's going to happen coming up to the election. And I hope I'm wrong. I really do. But and then you start throwing in the evictions, and
yeah.
So stay safe, everybody.
Letting go of an empire is never fun. Never fun. Never
Especially
a good time.
when 4 states on the West Coast are under fire. Like, I guess Oregon got some huge rainstorms, which was good for putting out some of the fires, but now they got floods, and it's just
Jesus Christ.
so.
Yeah.
But All right, Lee.
in there. As I always say, keep fighting.
Keep fighting, man. Don't give up. You know, my thing is I'm going to do everything I can. And when I die, I'll be able to look whatever, if there's a God or whatever, and go, hey, man, I tried.
It's just going to be the CIA ESP guys. They're like, hi, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
We've been tracking your brain for quite some time.
Thanks for your help. You didn't know you were helping us, but thanks for your help.
You could have just kept surfing. You didn't have to always cut it short. You could have just kept surfing. That's kind of what we wanted you to do.
Yeah, all my stuff is at leecamp.com. I put out videos on various news topics almost every day. So just go to leecamp.com, check it often. The show's called Redacted. The TV show's called Redacted Tonight. And my other podcast is called Common Censored.
Folks, and listen to this. If you're watching it, please make sure you listen on like iTunes or SoundCloud or something like that. And if you are listening, please give it a positive review, and that all those like analytics help. And download it and share this with your friends and stuff on your social media, because it's a new show. This is only our 10th episode, so we're trying to get the word out. And then, of course, everything I've got is at grahamelwood.com. I do my I usually go live 4 or 5 days a week on YouTube, youtube.com/GrahamElwood, and rockfin.com/GrahamElwood, which is a blockchain cryptocurrency platform. I have a Patreon page. You can get all of that at grahamelwood.com. Government Secrets, end of episode 10. I don't know what happened at the end. I got a new sound graphic card.
I liked it. We needed to end on a high note, so that was good. We needed something upbeat.
All right, buddy. Well, nice to see you.
All right, man. Take care.
All right, dude. Lee Camp, ladies and gentlemen. 205 people watching. Tony DeMeo, Shave Your Knuckles for Justice. America was born because of violent revolution, yet privileged people are suddenly freaking out. Yep. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Ovaltine. Pew, pew, pew. And free the nipple. Hello, Kate, our moderator. What's up? Sharif Snugs. What's up, Sharif? Shave Your Knuckles for Justice. You're making Gotham great again. Shave Your Knuckles for Justice. Would a mass economic collapse bring the potential together or create more of a divide in the country? Whew. Hello, everybody. My name is Graham Elwood, and you are watching The Political Vigilante. This is a fantastic question. Would a mass economic collapse bring the proletariat together and create more of a divide in the country? What I think, from what I'm seeing and how hard they're working to keep us divided, and again, the ruling classes, whole objective is divide, distract, and keep us afraid. That's what the media is all about. And if you watch Fox, they keep you distracted and afraid over here. You're the Antifa and Black Lives Matter are coming into your white neighborhood, right? And then the liberal, it's MSNBC, Russia, 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 right? Racism started when Trump came to office or whatever. So I think this is a fantastic question. Here's what I think is potentially going to happen. They're really trying to ramp us into a civil war. And I don't think most Americans realize, all the Americans on any of the sides, and there's all these fractionalized sides, but all these sides, right? The media is really trying to make it like Black Lives Matter versus Trumpers, right? And you watch Fox News, and those white people think they're under siege, man. Like Antifa and Black Lives Matter, they're coming. Like they feel like they are under attack, and they got to get their Second Amendment going or whatever. And then, people like us that support Black Lives Matter and everything, we're seeing this authoritarian state. We're seeing unmarked vans snatch up people. Protesters are getting arrested. Indie journalists are getting arrested, on top of all the unarmed Black people getting arrested. So unfortunately, what I think is going to happen is the economic collapse is going to bring about just chaos and potentially a civil war. And since so many Americans are so like want to go into war and they think it's going to be like playing, you know, some video game, it's not going to be a video game. Call of Duty, it's going to be horrifying. And I think Americans are going to get a real taste of it. Some Americans are going to see how awful this really is. And going through that might get people to wake up to the fact. You know, when the All Lives Matter crowd has like the sheriff's department coming to evict them, and it'll be a bunch of white cops in their white neighborhood coming to kick them out of their home, that's when they might go, oh, it's not Antifa. It's not Black Lives Matter protesters. It's not crazy libtards or whatever they think. It's the government. When they see that happen, they might wake up to that fact. When everybody's getting screwed by the government, they might wake up to that fact. So I hope it does bring, as you say, the proletariat together. I hope it does. But we have such a pretty gnarly divide in this country that's been coordinated by the ruling class, orchestrated, coordinated, mapped out. We had Whitney Webb on the show. She showed us they've been mapping this civil war out. They've been mapping it out. So I think it's unfortunately going to get worse before it gets better. Again, I hope I'm wrong. I really do hope I'm wrong. But the 28 million evictions are coming, and they're coming to Trump supporters, to Joe Biden supporters. They're coming to everybody. Anyone that lost work because of the pandemic and is behind on their rent. So I think when Americans really see that this is not a video game, when it gets really ugly and there's war on their streets, there already are, it's already starting to happen. But when it happens on a mass scale, I think people are going to go, oh shit, maybe it's time to put our guns down and come for peace and wake up. Because I don't know. I mean, I watch some of these like right-wing survivalist shows, and they're like, get your preps ready and buy more ammo. And those survivalists, some of these Second Amendment survivalist people are like, they can't wait for society to collapse. So there's no more rules, and they've got all their food preps and they're ready in their beehive. And I'm just like, it's going to be, I mean, and then even some people on the left, they're like, I'm getting a gun. And I'm like, okay, all right. You ever talk to anybody in Bosnia or any of these countries that went through horrific collapses and civil war? And it's awful. So I hope people wake up and unify and realize that the enemy is not that other person in the 99% over there that looks different than you. The enemy is the 1% billionaire ruling class. That's the enemy. I mean, I talked about this. Fred Hampton is like the single greatest example. He, head of the Black Panther Party in the late 60s in Chicago, reached out to a group of Southern whites that lived in a neighborhood in Chicago called Hillbilly Harlem. Many of them Confederate flag waving, Klan, overt racist, proud Southerner. And he went to them and said, capitalism creates racism. And had the first ever Rainbow Coalition. He unified two groups that were like never going to be unified. He did this in 1968. And they killed him for it. The FBI and Chicago police shot him like 25 times or something horrific like that. So it's going to take somebody like that taking a bold action and reaching out. But I don't know. I unfortunately don't see large groups of Americans wanting. Americans have this like, America's acting like a bunch of addicts. And active addicts are crazy. They won't admit when they're wrong. They do all this awful shit and make excuses and It's always somebody else's fault. And you call them flat. Hey man, you were drunk. You got that DUI. Oh man, that cop fucked me. I was fine. Like, no, you were you like it's they gaslight you, and they say, and the whole country is just like, other than us like lefty progressives, I feel like the country is losing its mind. Be they the vote any blue will do, or the Trump, like I feel like they're all losing their minds. So I don't know other than to like try to find a safe haven somewhere or something and hope that they figure it out. But it really, America seems hell-bent. We've been propagandized. We've been fed all these lies. We've been fed awful food. We have an obesity epidemic in this country. We have an opioid epidemic that no one wants to talk about. Think about the opioid epidemic. It has decimated communities. White rural communities, inner city community. I mean, it is crushed because there's large swatches of this country. Think about, there's over 1,000 cities that have water as contaminated as Flint, Michigan. So I'm bringing this up from like, I'm not a scientist, from like a physiological standpoint. People are addicted to all these opioids, not to mention just pumped up on all different kinds of prescription drugs, not just to mention contaminated water, not just to mention we have shitty food. We have Monsanto. We put high fructose corn syrup and everything. So I don't even know that Americans can even fucking see straight. So they're so easily propagandized, and this is so coordinated. And it's so sophisticated to prey on people's emotions, to get people all worked up. And social media just reflects your beliefs back to you, right? So I mean, my social media is a lot of lefty independents and socialists and progressives, but I try to reach out and look at other stuff and see what they're getting told. I don't know. I hope somebody can like reach out and bridge the divide. And I hope, as you say, that the economic collapse does bring the proletariat together. That's what I hope happens. I hope that answered your question. Thanks for watching the show. Shave your knuckles for justice. Boom. Remember, support what I do at patreon.com/Graham Elwood, rockfin.com/Graham Elwood, blockchain cryptocurrency platform. Like, share, subscribe, share these out, and listen to the Political Vigilante podcast, which is on iTunes and all your other podcasting platforms. Give it a good review. Download it, like it, share it. Make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel. All the great ways to support the show. Thank you. Great question. Great question. You guys ask such great questions. Sam Young, what's up, Sam? Shame your knuckles for justice. Missed beginning of the show, but did you mention Electoral College? I didn't vote for her, but Hillary did win by 3 million people, popular vote, but lost in the college. No, we have not mentioned the Electoral College, and that's a good thing. I'm glad you brought that up. And that's another reason to show why the Electoral College is another part of our flawed system. The Electoral College was put in there by the founding fathers to make sure that the powerful kept the power in case the masses did something they didn't want to do. You know, so in all of the swing states, it was something like 70,000 votes or something, or less than 500,000 votes. Forget what the number was. But yeah, if we went to a popular vote, it'd be another people, and people go, well, then that's not fair because then, you know, California can have more say over, and it's like, no, first of all, let's break down the Electoral College. So California, where I live, where I vote, one Electoral College vote equals 400,000 voters. And let's say Iowa, one Electoral College vote equals 100,000. So Iowa, your vote in Iowa is more valuable than my vote in California. So right there, the Electoral College system is flawed. And when the thing people can't seem to let go of, if we got rid of the Electoral College, they're like, well, this state would have more. There's no winning of states. There's no state wins. You don't need to win. So a vote in Wyoming is as valuable as one in Texas, New York, California, Delaware. Each vote is actually, because if you look at the last presidential election, there was a bunch of like diehard red states that Trump didn't visit. Wyoming, North Dakota. it's like whatever 3-4 electoral votes. He's got the state locked up. It doesn't matter. So if you're even a Republican voter in the state of Wyoming, he doesn't really need to address your specific needs. And every presidential election, they do this. They hit the swing states. They go to their base, New York, California for the Democrats, Texas, and then they go to Ohio and they go to Florida, the purple states that have a lot of electoral votes. And that's what they try to do. Rather than if they needed the votes of the American people, they would have to campaign everywhere. If I was running for president, even with this bullshit electoral system, I would campaign in every single state. And I would make it, I'm going to every state. My message, I'm taking it to every single state. It's so crazy. Let's answer some more super chats. When Graham warned about evictions months ago, I knew it would get ugly. I know. I live in meth country anyways, not so great. Yeah. Some great quotes came out of the Hunger Games books. Remember who the real enemy is. Yep. The Hunger Games is like, what's happening? Watch or read the Hunger Games. Whether you think the movies are well made or not, they're decent, but watch what they're saying, what they're showing you. It's what's here now. It's just a more theatrical version. It's like an amped up, more creative version with the crazy hair and the names and everything, but it's what's happening now. This handful of wealthy people control everything and get the people in different districts to fight and kill each other so that that district can get food. That's how the ruling class gets the people to kill each other. That's what is happening now is the Hunger Games. The gay rights movement started as a riot. Good point, Tony. Rainbow Coalition, no, it was not the gay rights movement. The Rainbow Coalition started with Fred Hampton, and I think Jesse Jackson started to use that term in the late 80s or 90s, if I'm not mistaken. It's crazy how much of a visionary George Orwell was. 1984. Yeah, I know. It's just like, God, I wish he wasn't so on point. We've always been at war with East Asia. I know. Cannon fodder. They're rewriting history to make it more patriotic. I know. Addicts don't deserve the demonizing, Graham. I'm not demonizing addicts. I'm showing the behavior of an addict. I've been sober since March 5th, 2002. So I got an idea what I'm talking about. And I'm talking about an addict's behavior while they're using is out of control. And they need to get help. And America is out of control and needs to get help. So, and if that pissed you off and you have a substance problem, I would suggest going to an AA meeting rather than yelling at me for just pointing out the behavior of somebody that's under the influence of an addictive substance. September 27th through October 3rd is banned book week. We're not that far off from the way people dressed and had surgeries for looks in the capital of the Hunger Games. I know. Well, LA is already like the capital of the Hunger Games, for the love of God. I love this show. Yeah, Howard Zinn was what a real patriot looks like. Absolutely. Actually, AA meetings are secular. They talk about a higher power. So it's just a power greater than yourself. They talk about God a lot. Don't let that show you off. I'm higher. It's just a power greater than yourself. It can be the waves, chocolate, the sunset, whatever, a power greater than yourself. Like I always equate it to waves because I was like, I don't like organized religion at all. And I was like, oh, what is this? We're talking about God. We're in a church. What is this? And then someone said to me, it's a power greater than yourself. I think about the waves. I cannot make waves bigger, smaller, slower, faster. I cannot control when they come in at all. It is a power greater than myself. But if I paddle out, get into the right position on my board, pop up at the right time, do all this work, then I get to ride this amazing energy. And I know what you just said, Jeff. Your syntax is off. Anasty Ariska, Shave Your Knuckles for Justice. At what point does Shark Week turn into Hate Week? Oh, boy. Oh. I'm skipping to the end of the show. Trump nominates Amy Coney Barrett to replace RBG. Oh boy, can't wait. What kind of psycho is she? Yes, we did talk about Ruth Gator Ginsburg passing away. Yeah, she's a conservative federal judge. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Hold on a second. Let me see if there's any super chats I missed. Okay. BA, shave your knuckles for justice. Hold on a second. BA, shave your knuckles for justice. Thank you so much for supporting the show. Howdy, I just sent you an email about American history and the Pilgrims. It's so interesting, and I think it's important to remind folks of the facts. Yes. Yeah, I know. When I did that show for FNX, I got I got such a great education from all my friends that were Native and the new comics I work with about what Thanksgiving really was, the history of it. So we all need to read it. It was pretty brutal what, again, the white people did. Shave your knuckles for justice, BA. Americans are good people. I totally agree with that. Just propagandize. It's hard to self-reflect. It's hard to challenge existing ideas, and not everyone can handle the truth. Yeah. It's so we've so been propagandized. We've so been told all these crazy things, and just the human brain being what it is when it's confronted with, and by design, we don't have a good education system. By design, we don't have good healthcare. By design, we don't have healthy food. Imagine if we had a nation of well-educated, healthy eaters. What would that, rather than just drugs, alcohol, pump you full of pharmaceuticals and shitty food and it's crazy. Matt S. Shave your knuckles for justice. I guess I don't understand what's stopping anyone from succeeding in this country. What country can you prosper better? And if so, how? Well, there's a lot of countries where you can prosper. What's stopping people? Ask yourself, what environment did you grow up in? I grew up middle class, decent public schools, all this stuff. So I'm big brother to a kid who's gone to pretty gnarly, tough inner city schools. And he's just like, In LA, there's a real problem in the schools with black on brown, the Latinos and blacks fighting each other, the gangs fighting each other. And he said, kids will just get into fist fights in the school and the teacher won't do anything about it. And then he doesn't have access economically to all the things like my nieces and nephews have. My nieces and nephews, who are all white kids, and they're not wealthy. They just live in decent suburbs and stuff. Oh, they've got Little League, they've got dance classes, they've got Taekwondo, off-season pitching coaches with softball and baseball and all this stuff. And it's not that my siblings are rich. None of my siblings are rich. They just have decent jobs. But again, we had college-educated parents. My parents were able to get college degrees because it was very affordable, and they had the opportunities to get them. They were born middle-class white people as well. They got good college degrees. They made sure their children were in good school districts, and we were not targeted by the police. Never. I was raised, support the cops. And I've told you the story. I got busted a couple times in high school by the cops, and they just gave me a little boys will be boys. They didn't put the hammer down on me. If I would have been busted as a black guy, I would not probably be sitting here. I have a different life. So you see all that privilege, right? So I have college educated parents that made sure me and my brother and they had 4 kids. We all went to school. I went to state school, but we all got decent educations. My mom had some money that she inherited, not huge sums of money, but little chunks of change here and there. That's wealth is handed down generation to generation. And they've done studies that because of slavery, because of the genocide of Native Americans, those ethnic groups didn't get the opportunity to make the wealth. They weren't given access to the American dream or even the chance at it. And so they haven't been able to hand down wealth to their families. So there's a lot of that. And there's a lot of countries in Western Europe, Denmark, all these countries, to the second part of your question. Great questions, by the way, Matt. I really appreciate that you come on here and you're not on, like, you don't think exactly like I do or whatever. You have different points of view, but you want to learn and you want to pose different ideas and you want to even debate stuff, which I really appreciate this. I can't say that enough. And we have great discussions because of these questions. So what country can you prosper in better? And if so, how? And I'm sure some people in the chat might chime in here. These countries in Western Europe, Australia, good healthcare system, free college. So they prosper quite well. Now, this country, if you do make if you can find that seam, make a lot of money, then you get to do whatever you want. You pay $0 in taxes, and it just benefits you to stay 1%. So that's my view on that. Read more Richard Wolff. Richard Wolff is an economist, and he's a socialist. And man, can he break this down so well. He's like a PhD. He is whip smart. He can explain this 10 times better than I can. Start reading or watching just look at Richard Wolff, W-O-L-F-E. He's been on the Jimmy Dore show. And there's a bunch of great interviews with him where he can break this down. And it really will have, since you have a willingness to learn about this, Matt, he's a guy that I follow that's really opened my eyes to a lot of stuff about the economics of things, of toxic capitalism versus socialism and democratic socialism. So I'd start reading or watching that dude. Tony DeMeo, Shave Your Knuckles for Justice. America was born because of violent revolution, yet privileged people are suddenly freaking out. Yeah, we talked about that. Hey, Mares, what's up, hey, Mares? The establishment either aided in RBG death or at minimum will exploit very suspicious timing. I know. I don't want to be too tinfoil hatty, but yes, like Lee said, she is older. She's at that age where, when you're in your 80s, but the timing is really odd that it would happen now. So, Sparky, Ruth Bader Ginsburg passed away. She was a tough lady. She and Alito show that people can still be friends despite differing politics. Yep, I know. Evil Kitty of Doom, you're making Gotham great again. Nothing to see here, just swamp gas reflecting off the moon. Great show, guys. Swamp gas reflecting off the moon. 241 likes, everybody. Hit the like button. Hit the like button. Oh, a couple new super chats have popped up, folks. We're going to try to get those on the big board. Matt S. Boom, Matt. Happy Friday, Graham, and all your awesome fans. Thank you to guys. Thank you so much. Thank you, Matt. Really appreciate it. All right. Boom. Do Americans really exist? I thought it was all just TV. Yeah. Wendy Melly, back to Matt S.'s question. Most of Europe, Japan, South Korea, Vietnam, Uruguay. Yes, I am from Evanston. New Zealand, Australia. Yeah. Occupied Dogtown. Nice. Kate is our moderator. Let me make sure I didn't miss any other ones here. Sharif Snugs. What's up, Sharif? Boom. You're making Gotham Gate again, my friend. Gotham Gate again. Talking like a 5-year-old. You are making Gotham great again. You are a political vigilante. Shave your knuckles for justice. Ba-boom. Who's a better chance for the Democratic nominee for president in 2024? Nina Turner or AOC? Nina Turner. AOC is just starting to see her acquiesce a little too much to the Democratic establishment for my taste. And Nina Turner is no nonsense. Nina Turner, if she ran for president, I don't see her buckling. I don't see her making deals. I don't see her doing. I just don't think she's capable of doing it. I think she's just, this is who I am. And I get so much respect for Nina Turner. When she speaks, her policy, she's called out the Democratic Party. I know she's endorsing Joe Biden, but she spoke at the People's Convention that I and Jimmy and Ron spoke at and Lee spoke at. So yeah, I'd follow Nina Turner into a fire. She's awesome. I think she's the one. Yeah. AOC could be doing so much more with her, whatever, 5 or 10 million Twitter subscribers. She could just be shaking up the whole system, but somebody talked to her, threatened her, offered her something. And now she's been toning it down and she only calls out the Republicans. She won't call out that. A year ago, she was fighting on Twitter with Nancy Pelosi because the democratically controlled Congress voted in support of Trump's border wall. She's like, what? What's the point of this? And now she calls her mama bear. So that's my problem with AOC. I think she got a little taste of the power and was like, oh yeah, I'll play ball, and makes that rationalization in her head. Well, if I do this, but then we'll get that, like boo, boo, boo. I don't see Nina Turner doing that. That's just me. And she does not take shit from anyone. Dan L. Values. Trump, Barr, Pompeo needs military intervention. Yep. William Barr, ties to Epstein. Why did Trump, when all the people like, oh, Trump's the hero who's rounding up the pedophiles, where are they? Where is all this rounding up? He has all these ties to Epstein. Barr does. Trump does. Prince Andrew, Ghislaine Maxwell. Like, the QAnon nonsense is just hilarious. Matt S. Boom. Thank you, Matt. I'll check out Wolf. I just have to say I've spent time in Asia and they are massively capitalist and meritocracy driven. I will just say that. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But it's still more even. They don't have tent cities. They have good public school. They have great health care. They don't have the crazy inequities that we have. We're just out of control. and everyone is like, oh, I don't want socialism, then you better rein in capitalism. Otherwise, people are going to be so done with it. And the millennials and the Gen Z, most of them are like, I'm out. And when this economy collapses, and unfortunately it's going to, I really hope I'm wrong, but all these people that are 10 times smarter than me are pointing to all of these things. And there's just numbers we can't ignore, like 28 million evictions. The homeless population in Los Angeles doubled during the pandemic from 35,000 to about 75,000. And that's in cities all over the country. 25-30% unemployment. You can't, the housing bubble, car loan bubble, student loan bubble, all these bubbles I've been talking about for the last year. They're all coming. It's all coming. And every country in the world is having some economic problems because of COVID. No two ways about it. But it's worse here, man. It's worse. South Korea, Japan, they are capitalists to the bone, but they give to their citizens. They take care of people. They have good infrastructure. They have good healthcare. They have good schools. Like, and they're all cap. I mean, they're flat. I mean, like, so, you know. Danelle Values. What's up, Danelle Values? Vaccines will be for first responders and retirement homes. Scary. I know. The bigger they are, the harder they fall. Well, U.S. is as big as it gets. Yeah. Matt asked, getting back to your thing, you just responded. They focus. You're talking about these Asian countries. They focus on family and education. Absolutely. We just focus on me, buy a big boat. So what if there's a hungry people? So what? I got me, my me. America, USA, gun, me, you. Sorry, Graham, we have to pull back from the super chats for a while. It's all good. Don't worry about it. It's all good. If you can support the show, great. If money's tight, I totally get it. It's okay. That's why I really suggest, like, if money's tight and you're on a budget, and like some of you like supporting the show in the super chats, and I appreciate it because we have great discussions on there, because I can't get, there's 207 people watching. And some of you have emailed me and said, you know, I was supporting 3 or 4 shows or 5 shows or whatever on Patreon. I can't do it anymore. I get it. I always offer. That's why I keep pushing Rockfin. I love the platform. And now you've got more shows joined. Whitney Webb just joined. So like Dave Anthony from The Dollop has joined. Jimmy's on there. That's why if you can just afford $10 a month on Rockfin, trim back everywhere else that you're supporting my show. And I know many of you support numerous shows, and I appreciate that. So that's why I just say for $10 a month, you're supporting everybody on the platform. And you're supporting a new technology and a new platform that doesn't censor. They don't hold my videos back. They don't demonetize them. And it's crypto and it's blockchain. Just a suggestion. But don't feel bad. It's all good. Hey, Mayor, Shaving Knuckles for Justice. This is a previous one. Top 3 propaganda headlines for tomorrow in the wake of Ruder Ginsburg. RGB. Yeah, you put RGB. Ruth Beta Ginsburg. It's RBG. Ruth Ginsburg Beta. I think Russia killed RBG will be 1. That's funny. Kate, what's up, Kate? Our moderator. Show Kate some love. Obama suggested waiting until after the election. I know everyone's going to wait that because that's what they tried to do with Obama. And he said, okay, he should have forced it through. And Sparky, boom. Since 98% of lawyers are leftists, at least half the time, Republican SCOTUS appointees end up being liberal like John Roberts, so I'm not worried. Yeah, I know. Because eventually, when they study the law, even if they're conservative leaning, they're more like Reagan kind of, not these psycho evangelicals, because the law is And the thing about the Supreme Court, it's not a perfect system by any stretch of the imagination, but there is more checks and balances, and they have to debate, and they got to work with these people every day. So it's like, hey, we need to have this discussion. We need to have this legal debate. Dan McCartney, Shaving Knuckles for Justice. A break is in order. You got that right, my friend. All right, I'm caught up. The collapse was coming pre-COVID. I know. I was talking about there was going to be an economic collapse before I even knew what COVID-19 was. I mean, we all were. I was just like, and then people like Lauren D'Alessandro, one of my Patreon supporters, would send me every month a new thing about this bubble and that. Like, what, you know, we learned, I've done videos talking about how all these cities have taken municipal workers' pensions and gambled on them. Risky hedge fund, whatever. And a lot of these people are coming, all these like people that are due for retirement in the next couple years, their pensions aren't going to be there. Then what? It's like Enron though, but nationwide. I talked about 60% of the population couldn't afford a $500 to $1,000 emergency. That was before COVID. There were 2 million car loans that were over 90 days late in February. There was a mortgage bubble I've been talking about for the last 2 years. The student loan bubble, as I talked about, the car bubble, that's part of it. The car companies were just giving loans. Oh, you make 30 grand a year. Here's a loan for a $50,000 car, like cars they couldn't afford, approving them for loan. And now what? People are turning in cars. They're, if you're in a couple, you live together, married, whatever, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, and you got 2 cars, everyone's like, we're getting rid of a car. Because especially like if one or both of you is working at home now, we don't need that second car. And then if one of you has lost your job and the other one is working, then it's like we can have 2 cars. Or maybe we don't even need one. Like whatever. Everyone's just like, why are we having all these? So people are getting rid of cars. It's like crazy, man. Same with Bank of America giving loans to poor people, and later they were foreclosed in Detroit. Yep. 72 months, 0% APR on new cars. They can't give them away. Oh, I know. Yeah. Let's go back to the good old days before COVID. Opioid addiction and credit card debt. Yeah. Where's all that credit? What are people going to do with the credit card debt? Kate's talking about the pensions, or in Illinois, they just don't put the money in. They call it a pension holiday. Oh, your pension gets to go on a holiday. That's so nice. Let your hair run free. Nobody's even talking. Oh, this is another great point. Creative experiments. Nobody's even talking about the oil crash that is happening right now, which could have collapsed capitalism all by itself. COVID just put the nail in the coffin. Great point. Oil was crashing. And then for 6 months, I mean, we're kind of going back to work a little bit, but I mean, I remember I'd go surfing down near Long Beach Harbor, like in April and May. And we would look out and there was a dozen oil tankers just sitting there because no one was using oil. The airlines have cut their flights back probably by 60 to 70%. Half of the people aren't on. I mean, I remember there's some traffic back in LA now, but I remember just driving around LA like on a Friday afternoon, like what would take me an hour and a half to get from the beach to downtown. I'd get there in like 19 minutes, like nothing. No one was on the road. So no one's buying gas. The delivery trucks, I guess, are still using it. The planes aren't. We're not traveling like we were. No one's in their cars. Everyone's working from home. Nobody's commuting to work. And I talked about the carbon bubble one of the first things I ever did on this show 3 years ago. I talked about the speech that the governor of the Bank of England gave in 2015, saying that there is a carbon bubble. All this fossil fuel investment is going to come crashing down because the minute investors don't see a long-term return, and if they're like, wow, 20 years from now, we're not going to be using fossil fuels anymore, I'm going to start pulling my money out now. He's like, there's a bubble. He's like, there's a bubble. And he said it. And he's not some hippie environmentalist. He's the governor of the Bank of England. He's a money guy. He said, there's a bubble coming. Because there's a bubble here. And we need to figure out how to slowly deflate it rather than let it pop. Because if it pops, we're crushed. Boom, boom, boom. That's why I'm learning more about crypto, and I'm starting to learn more about crypto. I'm going to bring another crypto analyst on Monday. I'm going to have from Boom or Bust, Christy I. I think that's how you pronounce her last name, AI. She is one of the co-hosts of Boom or Bust. I started watching that show periodically on RT, and they have their own YouTube channel, just Boom or Bust. And it's an RT show. And so just all their episodes, they just put out on YouTube. And, they talk about crypto. They talk about, I'm learning more about crypto since I'm getting paid in crypto by Rockfin. The Ray token just jumped up from 34 to like 70. It went up to 92 cents a day or two ago. And now it's trading around 80 cents today. So learn about crypto, educate yourselves on crypto. I'm going to have more crypto people on this show because I want to learn more about it, but I want you to learn more about it. One of the things I talk about is vote with your dollars and empower yourself. And one of the ways to empower yourself is to get out of centralized currencies like the US dollar, like the Aussie dollar, like the whatever, the euro. Governments can control those and manipulate them. Crypto is blockchain. It's decentralized currency that you can trade with people all over the world and be charged minimal fees rather than like if I'm trying to send you American dollars to wherever you live. We have fans in Australia. We have fans in Europe, Japan, wherever. I got to pay these huge fees. I got to go through a central bank. Nope. If I send you money, you send me. And I have a Bitcoin Cash wallet in my show notes. If you want to send me a little, it's a way to support the show. Some people have done it. But I want you to get it. If you don't know much about it, and I get it, it's daunting. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm still learning. Like today, I was trying to move some crypto around. And I was having this problem. And I had to talk to the guy at Rockfin. It took me an hour and a half. And I was like, fuck, this is complicated. And it is. And it's a little frustrating at times. But get educated because it's a way for us to empower ourselves. Because if we're all using crypto, we're not using their currency. We're not in their debt. And stuff like all these experts are saying Bitcoin and Ethereum, the two big ones, are going to go through the roof. And I also think the Ray token, this is just my personal opinion. This is my personal opinion. This is not an investment advice show, but it is a political show. And it is a show that here's direct actions we can take to empower ourselves because the ruling class is trying to kill us. Cryptocurrency. Get more educated about it. Go to the bitcoin.com YouTube page. They have a Bitcoin 101, Crypto 101. Just real basic, get educated. Figure it out. Just invest a little bit of money. And I'll even put a link in the show notes for this app Coinbase that I use. And if you sign up for just $100, we each get $10 in Bitcoin, right? So I'll start putting that in the show notes. But we all need to just diversify your portfolio a little bit and start learning about crypto. Because when the dollar collapses, which it's going to, the dollar's not going to be worth shit. And we're going to need crypto. But everyone's saying, oh, crypto and gold and silver. That's all these financial experts are saying this. Make your own decisions, but get educated. If you're just like, I don't get crypto, get over that and learn more about it And I'm going to have more crypto people on this show. That's my commitment to me, myself, and you, the viewers. Matt S. What's up, Matthew? We're in the onslaught of electric vehicles coming to market within the decade, pros and cons. Look, I'm an electric vehicle owner. Well, my lease was just up, so I just turned it in and I'm looking to get another one. I like them because I don't like giving the oil companies money. And I know that the electric car, the minerals to make the batteries is not sustainable. It's not great. Me personally, I just can't give oil companies my money anymore. I just can't. And I understand where you're getting your electricity. Maybe it's coming from a coal-powered power plant, and I get that. All the more reason, if you do get an electric car, I don't know, get off the grid. If you got a home, put solar panels on, get an electric car, boom, you're done. You don't need their gas. You don't need their money. You don't need any of it. In terms of air quality, overall, they're still better than a gas car. And when I say vote with your dollars, I mean stuff like this. So the reason more electric cars are coming to market is because there's been a more demand for them. So that's why I say vote with your dollars, why it's important. So if you buy an electric car, you're telling the big car companies that are tied to oil, but ultimately at the end of the day, they just want to sell you a fucking car. They don't give a shit. So if there's a bigger demand, then they're going to start making more of them. And then maybe we find a cleaner, like hydrogen car right now. The fuel cell hydrogen is the cleanest one out there, but there's just not enough of an infrastructure like to go fill up with hydrogen. So if we start buying more of these things, and Matt, you'll like this. This is where the market actually can help, showing the market that we want low carbon footprint products like this in our cars. We want clean energy cars. They'll start making them. So buying them and doing that, finding a hydrogen, whatever the deal, figure out how you can do it. Rather than buying a regular old gas car, tells them, all right, we'll keep making gas cars. So that's a way to show the car manufacturers this is what we want. Boom. Sharif Snugs, what's up? Shave your knuckles for justice. I don't see the government giving us any social reforms like Medicare for all because the donor class really control this country. How do we take power? You're absolutely right on that. How do we take power? Well, first of all, this giving people your vote without demand something for your vote. If you're not for Medicare for all, I'm not voting for you, and make that very clear. So there's that. And I know, like we talk about, putting all of our hopes on voting and that's it, and hope that electoral politics is going to save the day is, I get that. I get that that's a tough mountain to climb, but it's part of it. So part of it is organizing general strikes. Part of it is boycotts. You got to hit them financially. Is this a financial decision? They don't want to give you Medicare for all because it's going to cost them too much money. Okay. I don't have Amazon Prime. They don't want to hire union workers. They don't want to pay their employees good wages, especially hazard pay working in COVID. They fire Chris Smalls for organizing a strike. I'm not giving Amazon my money. I don't shop with them. I had an Amazon affiliate code like 2 years ago where anyone who shopped, I got a little money every month, and I'd be making even more money now that I have a bigger audience. I got rid of it because it was hypocritical. And there's a series I directed that the distributors sold on Amazon, and I really want people to watch this series, but I can't. I have a hard time promoting them. So there's a lot of ways to do it. Boycotts, direct actions, general strikes, and just flat out say, I'm not voting for you unless you're for Medicare for all. I'm just not. You better demand this. You better get this, or I'm not voting for you. And that's one of the ways we're going to have to do it. It sucks. You're right. The donor class really controlled this country. You're 100% right. So hurt them. All they care about is money. They don't care about morality. They don't care about, hey, it's not ethical. They don't give a shit about that. They don't care about that at all. Figure out ways to stick it to them in the wallet. When you stick it to them in the wallet, they start listening. You know, we want Medicare for all. How are we going to pay for it? How are we going to pay for all these bombs and wars? The 7 countries we're bombing right now. How are we going to pay for that? So it's an economic thing for us. It's got to be an economic response. It's an economic thing for them. So it needs to be an economic response from us. Great question. Yes, great questions, dude. Would you consider touring again? Safely, of course. Some comedians are coming back to Texas, Arizona. Ron and I talked about this. Same with Jimmy. There's going to have to be some type of vaccine or treatment or something like that. All right, folks. I've been talking for 2 hours. Oh, I think I missed. Did I miss one? Sparky, did I miss one of yours? Sorry, I think I missed one, dude. My bad. Sparky, shave your knuckles for justice. Since the fellow senators don't like him, if nominated, the Senate might confirm Ted Cruz for SCOTUS just so they can get rid of him. I'm not happy to him being the Supreme Court justice, but that's funny that they don't like him. Sparky again. With or without COVID-19, economy was due to collapse. COVID-19 gave those who screwed up the economy something to blame so they can avoid prison once again. Oh, yeah. No. And on top of it, not only do they not get prison, they get a $4.25 trillion payday in the CARES Act. That was their big, that's their big comeuppance. Fucking, goddamn, it drives me nuts. All right, folks. At one point, 20 plus oil tankers off coast. Remember the mist that hung in the air? Yeah, I know. Nobody searched with a mask on. My older brothers used to go to Studio 54. Cocaine was always around. Yes, it was. Yes, it was. Yes, it was, everybody. All right. So much for fiscal discipline, jobs merit. Yeah. They drop old Tesla engines in. Oh, wow. Look at that. Look at Kate's share. Oh. Christine. Thank you, Christine. Super sticker. Shave your knuckles for justice. Matt S. What's up, dude? You're making Gotham great again, Matt. Solid show, Graham. Thanks. Well, you guys make it. You guys help make it solid because you ask great questions. You know, we weed out the trolls or whatever, and you guys ask great questions. We have great discussions on here. And so I obviously the first hour doing government secrets. So government secrets will drop. The full hour video will drop Monday, and the audio will drop on all the podcast platforms Monday. I'm not going to break up the segments anymore as separate videos because Lee and I want to try to just force people into downloading the show and watching it just on its own. So I'm going to try how that works. All right, folks, let's find a song and take us out. Not a lot of trolls here today. Sleep Now in the Fire. I don't think I know that song. Tomorrow's Sandra's birthday. Say happy birthday, everybody. The Davos World Economic Forum has been talking about the Great Reset for years. British royals, too. Check both their YouTube channels. Ooh, interesting. Granny Petrol sings White Wedding. Oh, that's funny. Billy Idol, White Wedding. I love this channel. Of course, the coup. Yeah, status coup. Old Mercedes converted to use old cooking oil. Yeah, I looked at that. Running on vegetable oil. That's another great system. What's up, Teddy K? Truth to tweet. What are we singing tonight? Granny Petrol sings White Wedding. I'm glad we make you laugh, Annabelle. Get this party started by Joe Biden. Tears for Fears shout. Oh, that's what I want to do. I'm going to do that as Shatner. I did a Granny Petrol last time, so I'm going to do Tears for Fears shout by Granny Petrol. All right. No. Like, share, subscribe, everybody. Come on. What is the problem? Oh, what is the problem? We saw a haze from the fires in Illinois. Oh, wow. Thank you, Worldview. I don't know. Something's just not loading. Why is this such a problem? All right, Safari, you're just being an asshole today. Boy, a lot of robot bags of dicks today, kids. What the fuck? Just like load it in and do it. What's the problem? You know what? It's just not playing. This song is just not playing. What is the problem? I think YouTube is just going to, I don't know. Wow. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. It's just not working. Use your cell phone. All right. Shout, shout, let it all out. These are the things I can do without. Come on. Scotty, I'm talking to you. Come on. Shout, shout, let it all out, Mr. Spock. These are the things I can do without. Come on. Mr. Scott, I'm talking to you. In violent times, you shouldn't have to sell your soul for quattros in black and white. They really, really ought to know. Those one-track minds that took you for a working boy. Kiss them goodbye. You shouldn't have to jump for joy. You shouldn't have to shout. Let it all out. These are the things that I'm talking about. Come on. They gave you life, bones, and in return, you gave them hell. As cold as ice, we live to tell the tale. I hope we live to tell the tale. Uhura, open up a frequency. Let it all out. These are the things I can do without. Tell Starfleet Command I'm talking to you. Come on. Shout, shout, let it all out. These are the things I can do without. Come on. I'm talking to you. Come on. Set our faces for stun because we've got to shout and let it all out. Scotty, stream to beam down. Let it all out. Come on. Mr. Sulu, I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you, so come on. And when you've taken down your guard, your shields, if I could change your mind, you Klingon bastards, I'd really love to break your heart. I'd really love to break your heart. Break your heart. I'd really love to break your heart. You Klingon bastard, you killed my son. Shout. Shout. Let it all out. Mr. Spock, these are the things I can do without. Come on, I'm talking to you. Come on. Oh, this song is long and full of guitar solos from the 80s. We didn't need mullets in space. So we have come here. I think there's another verse. Shout, shout, let it all out. These are, in fact, the things that we've done on a 5-year mission. I'm talking to you to come on, to boldly go where no man has gone before. I really ought to know. I really ought to know. I'd really ought to know where we go on a 5-year mission to boldly explore where no man has gone before. Dear Lord, that was long. Wow. Thank you, Kara Fun. That's the episode, ladies and gentlemen. Couple super chats, K-Bid there. Annabelle Corley. What's up, Annabelle? Hope you're safe down under. Shatner sizzling hot robot is doing things to me. Robot dancing, the future. This is how we dance in the future. Yeah. All right. We did it, everybody. Got almost 300 likes. Right on. I don't know if I'm going to go live tomorrow. I might, but definitely I'll be back Sunday doing a full week of shows. Sunday, 3:00 Pacific. Monday night, we'll do Rockfin at Sheffield. And Monday night is when we're going to have Christy I on the show. So come and join us, ladies and gentlemen. And thank you to everybody who was watching on everybody on the Rockfin, Independent, Denny, thank you so much. 290 likes, right on. Thank you all for supporting the show. You're all making Gotham great. Hit the like button. Let's get it over 300 likes before we jump out of here. Hit that like button on your way out, kids. 291. Let's get it to 3. Let's do it. Whiting. Sorry, I didn't get to that. Thank you, Kate, for being our moderator. Thank you to all the super chatters. Thank you for everybody who liked and subscribed and shared and done all that stuff. All right. Remember now. Hazardous air for 10 days, finally over. Yeah, I know. That's good. This will be available on Patreon and Rockfin. If you're a Rockfin subscriber or a Patreon member, this unedited live stream will be available. Thank you for watching the show. Shave your knuckles for justice. You're making gossip great again.